All right. I thought we might start. I've just found out that you guys get to pick your walk-in song for the Elite 15 at the World Championships. What have you chosen and why?
So I'm my chosen song. I think is going to be "We Will Rock You," and I'm going to try to see if I can get the entire stadium to do that. That would be so great. But if it doesn't work, then I'm going to have to quit the sport. So
It's worth
that's
the risk.
yeah, it's risky, but I've got Coach the DJ on my side. I'm going to have little implants in the audience to get it started. So hopefully it'll work. But if it does, that'll be so cool.
Okay, that'd be awesome. You only get about 5-10 seconds to actually do it, really, don't you? But I think it's worth a try.
So hopefully that's enough time.
Okay, all right, all right. So this is the first time that you've been on this podcast. So I thought we might start with your background. What were you doing, like sporting wise, when you were a youngster?
Yeah, so I played a variety of sports when I was really little. Soccer, gymnastics, ice skating, swimming, lacrosse, to name a few. As I got older throughout middle school, it started to converge to running and swimming. And then I loved running, but I was always getting injured when I was young. So that combined with the fact that we had a really good high school team, in ninth grade, I stopped running and just pursued swimming. And then I swam throughout high school and throughout college.
Okay, okay. And swimming wise, you got to a very good level, right?
Yeah, so I swam for UVA. We didn't win the national championship when I was there, but now they're the four-time reigning national champion team. I swam in Olympic trials in 2016. Um, all that good stuff. So pretty high level.
Do you swim now? Do you still do it?
I have not swam in a long time. It's just like not as easy just to jump in and do it versus like running and other stuff. I have to like put on a suit, cap goggles, schlep my equipment back around. So I haven't been doing it much recently.
Do you think it did set you up well though for for Hyrox, or like it was just being active that set you up well for it? And I'm asking like because obviously Alex Bronkovich as well was a good swimmer. Do you think it was useful?
Yeah, I mean, I think you get the benefit of like establishing a pretty high aerobic base. Less so in college. There's a little bit less of that aerobic work, but you you do that. I don't think people really maybe realize that we're swimming. At some point, we were running sometimes for training. We do dry land, which is a lot of core pull up work. We lift, so you get a lot of that body strength too. And I think probably more than anything though, the swimming thing just really helps you with like discipline and mindset. And as much as I still train now, it doesn't really compare to the amount of training that I was doing before in the early mornings and everything. So like Hyrox training feels like a breeze after 20 hours a week swimming. So that's probably the most helpful part is in comparison, the training's not too bad now.
Is that the sort of, did you say 20 hours a week of swimming you were doing?
It wasn't just swimming, 20 hours of swimming,
Right.
lifting, Thailand combined. So
Okay.
yeah.
I remember Alex said to me actually he like he used to swim like 80K in a week, and
Yeah.
like it's just a breeze like Hyrox training is a breeze in comparison. So yeah. Um. So then, how did you get into Hyrox? How did you find out about that? How did you get into it? And was it like a natural fit when you first found it?
So I found out about it back in back when I was in college. My family really liked Broken Skull Challenge, that TV show, and so they like Hunter won that several times, and so they were curious about what he was up to after the show was over. So we went on his Instagram and he was doing High Rocks. So that's kind of how I found out about it. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, this seems like a really great fit for me. I can row pretty well. I've always been a decent runner, so I started training for it. But I think I had stress fractures in my shins when I was training for it the first time, so I didn't get to run very much leading into it, and I got crushed, man. I was like a 126 the first time I ran it, and it was not fun. But afterwards, I was like, no, I'm gonna get better at this. So, um, it seemed like in my brain there was no reason why I couldn't be good at it, except for the first race, which told me that I was not good at it. So,
um, so I think I've written down your PB was 102 now, 102.41. So that's a
yeah.
significant improvement since that first race. Has it mainly come from the running?
So part of it, I think, the first race I did was back when the lengths were 25 meters for the sleds. So the first time I did the Hyrox, that sled pull took me like 10 minutes, and then I was just absolutely destroyed after that.
Okay.
I didn't know the right technique of grabbing the rope and pulling it back, and that was really awful. So the burpees took me like 7 minutes. I was already dead, already like trying to figure out a way out of the rest of the race, trying to fake an injury. Oh, so those two just really killed me for the rest of the race. And then like the lack of running also as well. Just it's hard to do the amount of running required in that when you're running like 5 miles a week because you've got shin stress fracture.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Funnily enough, my first race was 129, and the sled pull killed me as well. Like it's such a technique thing, and if you go into it thinking I'll just use my arms,
right.
yeah, if you get found out quite quickly.
Oh no, new people have never had to deal with that. The 25-meter sled lengths.
Oh yeah. I haven't used that. Like it's always been 12 and a half for me. So yeah, you must be. When was that? Like 3 years ago? Was that?
It was Dallas 2020. It was like the last Hyrox before COVID. Yeah.
Okay. So, what does your running training look like now? Have you presumably like you're not suffering so much with injuries? Are you still managed to get some volume in?
Yeah. So like the last few weeks, I'm generally between like 45 and 60 miles, I would say, most weeks. So a pretty good amount. I'm having a little bit of some Achilles issues. So I had to take a week off of running. And I've had like a little bit of lighter since then, but for the most part, I've been relatively injury free on the running part. So I've gotten in a lot of good volume and gotten a lot more used to just more mileage, and I think probably gotten more efficient in everything.
What does it look like? Would you say you're quite high zone two, like relative to other people, like more threshold, more speed work? Or would you say it's like fairly standard?
So I do a lot of zone two-ish runs, particularly over the weekend. Like over the weekend, if I'm in my high volume, I'll run like 30 miles over the course of the weekend. All of that's like probably like upper zone two, I would say. And then during the week, I have two like running workouts. One is more tempo threshold type, and the other one's usually more of a speed workout. So that's generally my breakdown.
Okay. 30 miles of zone two in a weekend is a fair chunk, though. I mean,
Yeah.
are you splitting that? What are you splitting that into? Like 2 runs or something? Or
3 runs. I guess sometimes it's even more than 30 miles, but it's usually at my max, it's like 3 hour-and-a-half runs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you not tempted to do triathlon after, like, if you're good runner, swimming background?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I first finished swimming, the thing that I like held me back from that, well, 2 things. I never thought I'd be able to run the mileage that I do right now, injury free. Like I said, when I was younger, I was always getting injured, and I like knew that to be good at triathlon, you'd have to put in like the amount of mileage I'm doing now, if not more. And I always had problems with that. I couldn't even run like 30 miles a week without getting injured when I was younger. And then the other part is I'm really skittish on a bike. So like when I was younger, so my dad was a bike racer. And when I was younger, he was always trying to get me to bike. And at one point I went down a hill in our cul-de-sac when I was still on the bikes with the feet pedal brakes, and I took my feet off the pedals and I smashed into a tree. And so I wouldn't ride a bike for like 6 years after that. I was heavily traumatized as a child. So like
Okay. I've heard you talk before. Like your dad's quite a good athlete, isn't he?
He is.
Do you feel like there was, I mean, just growing up around that just rubs off on you, but is there anything like specific in your childhood, like mindset, attitude in the family or anything like that that you think has rubbed off on you and like set you up for like elite sport now?
Yeah, so I have three siblings, my older brother and two younger sisters, and I think part of it, like I guess I look compared to like my other friends who are successful early and kind of the pressure that parents put on. But I think when your parents are athletes, they kind of get it, and they didn't put like pressure on us. It was always like a lead by example type of thing. So we saw them doing a lot of working out. It was a very normal thing. My dad was always a resource. Like when I was younger, if I wanted, he would write me workouts to do like dry land type stuff or like weights type stuff. And when I was in high school, he, in the off season, he would round up my brother and his friends. And then I got pulled along, to do these like almost Spartan type workouts. We would run around in a park, run up hills, do pull-ups, do like med ball exercises. So, like that environment was like really helpful for us. And then really my older brother, when he got to high school, he decided he like really wanted to get into swimming and do really well. And so I saw how hard he worked. And that made a really lasting impression on me. And I just thought, if he can do it, so can I. And I saw him, how much better he got and how he kind of rose to the top level of swimming. And so that kind of seeing like his example and how hard he worked, I think rubbed off a lot on me. So that I owe a lot of my success to like my family environment for sure. And then my younger two sisters went on to swim. My sister that's after me, she went on to swim in college and she was a Big Ten champion. So just a really a big family environment into sports.
Okay. Awesome. You said before that like one reason you didn't do triathlon was because like you just couldn't build up that running volume without getting injured, but you have now. Is it? How have you done that? Like, has it just been a gradual process?
Yeah, it was a slow progression. So a long time ago, or not a long time ago, several years ago, I was listening to a podcast with Lauren Weeks, and I heard her say that she like runs all of her runs really slow, and so that I had some injuries back in 2020. Again, I was running really well for a while, and I got stress fractures. I had to stop and restart. And when I restarted, I just ran everything really slow and just ran really, really slow miles for a while. And doing that, eventually over time, I was able just to build up like 30, 40, 50 miles. And then when I got my coach Ian back in at the end of 2022, started introducing more. Well, I guess I started introducing more speed earlier than that, but I spent a lot of time just doing easy miles, and that helped me build up the base and stay injury free until my body could handle the speed work as well.
Lauren told me that as well on this podcast, and I had a husband Anthony on recently, and we talked about Lauren's slow running and actually like how slow it actually is. And I found it quite, and I know a few people have messaged me like just almost like quite reassuring that you don't feel like this pressure to try and like go at some crazy pace on what's meant to be a slow run. I've found quite nice. Like I've just completely taken the pressure off, and it does feel better on my legs that I'm not trying to push it and feel like, oh, I should be running this. You know, it's the world champions going much slower than me, so I'm cool with it. You know. Okay, all right. Can we talk about some of your numbers if you know them, like what you run a 5K, 10K? Do you know those?
I haven't run a 5K or 10K in a long time. I can give you my best estimate of a 5K. I'm the kind of person that people are going to hear my numbers and be like, oh, I'm going to come in and smash all these Hyrox people. They're not very impressive. Like, I think my 5K, I might be able to break 19. I can probably break 19. In a DECA, I've done like a 19:15 in the middle of the DECA. So I would think I'm probably somewhere in the high 18s in a 5K.
Okay. Not a lot wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you've got some good erg numbers as well, like your 2K. Did I say your 2K row was like 707 or something like that?
Yeah, and that was actually like 3 years ago. I think now I'm probably not going to do it for a while. I don't even know if I will do it, but I think that I could probably be below 7 minutes. If not at this moment, then if you gave me like a month or two to really kind of focus on it, I feel like I could be under 7. I'm a pretty good rower.
What about ski?
Ski, so I forget what I put on there. I think I put something and then I changed my mind and was like, oh, that might be a little too aggressive. I think I put 725 on your spreadsheet. I think that's probably about what I could do. I did this enduro challenge, Rogue Enduro challenge, where you had to do 2K ski, 2K row, 4K biker. And I started out in the ski with like a 736 before going into other two things. So that was pretty like a conservative pace. I mean,
Nice.
hard pace, conservative pace. So I think like I could probably be around 720, I think, but it's untested. So I lean on the slower side.
Okay, that's good. You said when you were talking about the running, I think people would say I can smash these people, but I mean, and obviously high 18s is still a very good time. But do you put like your performance down in Hyrox down to something else? Is it like your ability? Is it your strength? Is it your erg numbers? Is it your ability to suffer more than other people? Is it your compromised running? Do you put your performances down to anything in particular?
That's a good question. I mean, I would love to say it's because I'm super tough. I I don't know. I think the compromised running, I guess I'm a pretty good compromised runner. Maybe that's it. I'd like to think that I can suffer pretty well. I've always been like, when I was younger, I've always been really good at practicing. So like I was always a very consistent practicer. So I like maybe part of it is that I'm pretty good in the pain cave. You know, I'm good at those. I'm good. I mean, the fact that I'm good at the ergs, I think implies like a good balance of like the muscular strength and muscular endurance, that combined with like a decent amount of like decent running capabilities, I think is super helpful. And I mean, it's a combination of you gotta be able to run, but you have to also be strong enough to do other stuff. So it's just, I guess it's probably a combination of decent compromised running, good muscular strength endurance, and then hopefully I'd like to think, like I said, I'd like to think that I'm good at suffering. So hopefully some of that too.
Do you practice your compromise running a lot?
Yeah, so usually in my regular training every other week, I'm doing some percent of a Hyrox at like a tempo pace. So I have a lot of practice doing the running on and off the stations. And yeah, so I do a decent amount.
Okay. So we're recording this mid-May. You're preparing for the Nice World Championships. The first question: this episode will come out after Anaheim, but you're racing in Anaheim, I believe. What's the thinking there? Is it you just want to see where you're at? Is it to determine your pacing for Nice? Is it just a training session? What is it?
Yeah, so this was a last minute decision. My coach mentioned a few months ago, like, oh, I'll probably have you do a full Hyrox like a few weeks before Nice. And I thought he just meant like a regular Tuesday training session. But lo and behold, I opened my training log, and he has like a full race pace Hyrox scheduled for like a Saturday instead of a Tuesday, with a few like later days leading up to it. So I was like, well, I know I'm not going to go full race pace unless I'm in the race. So I just decided to hop into Anaheim like last week when I saw that. Yeah, I guess it's really just a training session more than anything. Me and Katie might do doubles to qualify together beforehand. We're still trying to figure that out because she's got a dog emergency right now. So it's just kind of a training session, go have fun, see people. Yeah, that's the thinking behind it.
Do you recover quite well after a Hyrox?
I After DC, I was great. I ran those two races and I like couldn't believe how not sore I was. Um, I think I'm getting better at recovering. It's probably just a general overall fitness thing, which is cool. I've noticed that I think probably a lot of people can relate to this after Hyrox. Like I don't want to eat. Like my stomach is just so messed up. But I think getting in the food, getting a good amount of food pretty quickly after is a key factor, I think, for me. So um, I've gotten better at recovering. And I think I'm usually like I've gotten to the point now where the last few ones I can actually walk down the stairs afterwards, which is great. So yeah, usually I'm back to normal training like Wednesday or Thursday after if it's a Saturday race. So that's
Okay.
usually how long I recover.
I should say for people listening that if they weren't aware, you did the two races that you did in DC. So you did the elite race on the Friday night, and then on Saturday you did the Go Ruck division, right? The next day.
Yep.
Amazing, really. So taper wise, as we approach Nice, what will that look like? Will it be just a 1 week taper, a few days, 2 weeks? Do you know what that will look like?
Um, Usually the way it works is about 10 days out, my volume cuts down a little bit, and then um like it's like the Wednesday to the Sunday, like it cuts down a little bit, and then like the week leading up, it's very low compared to normal. So that's typically how my taper goes.
Okay. And when will you fly out to France?
I'm gonna fly out the Monday night before, so I'll be there Tuesday to Friday.
You going to do anything about jet lag, or are you just going to hope to adjust? You think that's enough time? Are you worried about it?
I'm not really worried about it. I flew in a day later last year for Manchester, and it was fine. It's also like the races being at night helps the Americans, I think, a little bit, just
Yeah.
because it's not a early morning thing. So I'm not too worried about it. And in general, my philosophy is sweating the small things is worse than the small things themselves. So um, it's going to be fine, and I'll deal with it and just try to sleep as much as I can.
Okay. Are you nervous before a race like this?
We're not fighting to the death, Greg. So I'm not. I'm not nervous. I just see this as like a really cool opportunity thing. And what I find is I really respect and I think, and I'm in awe of a lot of the people that I race against. And so it kind of creates this win-win scenario for me. Like if I do well against these people, then that's great because they're great. And if I don't, and if I place, on the lower end, I'm not really bothered by it because they're awesome athletes. And my life isn't going to change dramatically whether I get first or 15th. Right afterwards, me and my family get to go on vacation, and I'm going to eat my body weight in peanut M&Ms. So my priorities straight, and it's just fun. It's just like this cool celebration of like the hard work that you've put in, and just like an opportunity just to see what you can do and just see how much the training's paid off, and learn, I guess, learn more about yourself and what needs to change moving forward.
Okay, love it. Um, mindset in the race, like where your head goes, sort of talks about compromised running, your ability to suffer. What do you think about when it's getting tough?
Um, I don't know. I think like I employ a lot of different strategies, like trying to tell myself how much further I have to go, like counting steps when things get hard, or like thinking how much you have left. I've noticed recently that when I was just starting this, my like perceived abilities were a lot higher than my actual abilities. So I would go out really hot and I would die. And then for a while, like the perceived abilities and the actual abilities were lining up really well. So I would like tell myself to hold back properly, and then I would die just at the right point, like just towards the end. And now I'm realizing that my abilities are kind of starting to go above my perceived levels. So like in DC, I tried out a different strategy where I didn't try to go out with Lauren or Meg or try to be out in the front. So I like was very conservative throughout the race, and then I felt like I had a lot left towards the end. And during going into the wall balls, I almost always feel like there's no possible way that I can do 100 wall balls right now, and just realizing that that's happened so many times and that you can. So like trying to lean on past experiences of when you've been able to do things, and knowing that like the amount of training that I've put in, I can push harder than I think that I can and still be able to survive. Because it's really intimidating, like the runs before the last few stations, when you're like, I have to hold back enough to keep everything together. But I think trying to kind of dismantle that a little bit in my mindset is something that I'm going to try to do. And because I've put enough training now that I can handle more than I think I believe.
Yeah. You sort of touched on it, but like not going out with Meg and Lauren. But do you, when you're racing this type of race, are you looking at what anyone else is doing? Have you got any sort of tactics, or is it just race to your own abilities, not look around? Yeah, how do you approach it?
I would say I always like race the race that I'm in and try to race people. As far as like not going out with them, that doesn't mean that I'm not like racing them, but I think it means that I'm picking and choosing where to like push a little bit more. Like I don't think it benefits me, even though I'm a good skier. I hate that the ski is first, because there's no benefit to going like 3 seconds faster per 500 if you're going to blow yourself up. So I'm big on racing the race that I'm in, and I'm always like looking to that and seeing other people and kind of using that to motivate me and be my gauge on where I should be and holding on to people. I love like when I'm ever in a running race with people, because I hate trying to pace myself on the runs. Like I like having somebody there kind of as my little pacer to hold me to a pace on. So yeah, I listen to my body, and I know myself, but I also really try to embrace the race. And I know when I'm with people, generally I'm paying less attention to how much I'm hurting and more attention to like what's going on around me, which I think always helps. So,
okay. Do you have hopes for the race, or is it just do your best and take the result for what it is? Or are you thinking, I really want top 5, top 3, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to not get fourth. I would love to rise above the fourth place that I'm getting every time. I'm not pinning too much on like any placement specifically. I really just want to show up and do my best, and I'm not super fixated on the placement, but obviously I want to do as well as I can. So yeah, I just kind of roll up and I don't think too much about it. Because if I do think too much about it, I'm like, wow, there's like 15 really good people here. So, I just kind of roll up and try to have the most fun that I can and have faith in myself, and yeah, all that stuff.
Okay. Just going back to like your training, and like you've obviously improved a lot over the last 4 years since you've been in it. Have you changed your mind on anything training wise? Like, have you been like, I was doing a lot of that and I don't think that works for Hyrox, or anything like that? Or has it just been consistency over time that's helped you?
Yeah. When I was earlier in the journey, I didn't do as much like designated weightlifting sessions. I was kind of just doing a lot of WODs type stuff, just a lot of Metcon things. And now I think this has been said by so many people, but a lot more of like the zone 2 work, like having zone 2 work, having like a few designated hard days, and then kind of keeping things more relaxed in the days between, having the 2 designated strength sessions a week, and just running a lot, are all things that's really helped me over time. And I think now I've gotten more of a handle on what's I mean, it might change in the future, but like that seems to be a better recipe, definitely, than doing just a lot of random like Metcons or
Yeah. Yeah. How about like how you structure your season? Are you like do you is it fairly consistent throughout the year? Like after Nice, will it change dramatically what your training looks like? Will it be a lot lower intensity and then you'll ramp it up as you get to the season? Is how will you approach that?
Yeah. So after Nice, like I said, I'm going on family vacation, so I'm gonna take that as some downtime. It's always still an active vacation. We go on these bike rides, and my dad just loves to destroy me on these bike rides. Um, I'm always pretty active, but it'll be like way less for 2 weeks, and then I think I'll get back into training, and it'll be lower volume after taking some time off, but then it'll kind of ramp back up. And I'm pretty consistent throughout the year and throughout the season, so um, that's generally how it is. I don't really have like some people seem to have more phases. I think like I am tinkering around with the idea of maybe doing a triathlon, possibly, or trying to do some different comps. And if that's the case, then maybe my training will look a little different for that time period. But I'm usually pretty consistent throughout the year, and there's not a whole lot of change. Just if I have just taken time off, you have to build the volume back up.
Mhm.
That's like how it goes.
Okay. And you step into like other events as well, don't you? You do DECA, um, you do some other bits as well. So it's not just like specific to Hyrox that you're training necessarily, is it?
It's mostly geared towards Hyrox, but um, yeah, if even if Hyrox didn't exist, I'd probably still be training pretty similarly to this,
Yeah.
and with it, I mean, it's so applicable to so many different comps, so it doesn't really require a lot of changing unless I'm doing something very different.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, good luck for Nice. I will see you out there. Everyone listening, make sure you join in with "We Will Rock You" when
Like,
when Vivian walks in. Uh, uh, one question I ask a lot of people: if you could put a message out to the world on a billboard for everyone to see,
oh
what would
no.
it say?
Um, so, this is a weird hill to die on, but I'm over all of the Instagram like black and white videos of people with their like motivational and inspirational quotes with like the intense music in the back. Like I'm a really stubborn person, so I don't like people telling me what to do. So I'm all about like sharing your experience and your thoughts and letting people decide for themselves if that's applicable. So like I think I would just like leave a blank billboard, maybe draw like a nice little scenic landscape on there and let people decide what they want to do. So
Okay.
I'm
All right.
not gonna tell anybody what to do.
All right, nice. And then one other question, which I've been toying with asking that I've never asked anyone, but if uh, if you've been kidnapped by aliens and you need someone else in the Elite 15 to come and save you, who would it be and why?
Oh boy. Hmm. My immediate two thoughts, are we talking just girls or girls and guys?
It could be either.
Anyone? Well, I feel like Meg would fuck them up for
Yeah.
sure. And then, like, Dylan would just be out there so much that they'd be like, let's ignore this girl and let's take Dylan. They would be so entertained by him. So those are my two answers.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking we haven't talked about your massage story from Manchester last year. I know it's been
Yeah.
covered on a couple of other podcasts, but I guess rather than aliens, it could be if you're captured by a masseuse in Manchester, who would you want come and save you?
Well, I had Katie Knight come to my aid for that one. So that's why I want her to come do doubles with me so that we can continue to wreak havoc on the rest of Europe. So
In fact, now I've mentioned it, can we just quickly cover that before we finish up your massage story from Manchester for people that don't know?
sure. I have PTSD from that still, but sure. So what had happened was I was like planning everything for Manchester last year, and I was like, oh, that was my first time on an international overseas flight. So I was like, I don't know how my body's gonna be feeling. I should schedule a massage. And so I go on the website and I'm like just looking for places that are nearby where I was staying. And I like saw this one page and I was like, okay, this looks legit. There's a few reviews, whatever. And I schedule it. And I'm signing up for it, and I'm like emailing the person to like confirm and everything. And he's like, if you cancel within 24 hours, you have to pay a cancellation fee. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not going to cancel, whatever. And so I get to Manchester, and I think this was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, and the race was Friday. And I'm leaving my hotel for the walk to the massage, and I don't have like phone service. So I was like looking at the Wi-Fi where it is before, and I like walk to the place, and I'm like in this kind of sketchy alley, and I'm like, what is going on? And it's in this apartment building. And so I'm like, I was walking around a little bit, and I'm like, is it in this apartment building? And I'm like trying to message him, but I don't have Wi-Fi. And I roll up to the door, and he's about to buzz me in, and then I just look at it, and I'm like, this is not a good idea. So I leave, and I go back to my hotel, and I finally get Wi-Fi, and I'm like, hey, and I just make him a bullshit lie. I'm like, I'm sorry, I had a last minute meeting, had to cancel. And he's like freaking out about the cancellation fee, which is understandable. Like, whatever. I was, so I'm trying to figure out a way to pay him online so that I don't have to go there. And he like didn't have a payment portal set up online, which was weird. And nothing would work. So he's messaging me a bunch about how he's gonna call the police because I didn't pay my cancellation fee, freaking out and getting very aggressive. And right around that time, Katie Knight gets in, and I'm like, Katie, I need you to come with me to this sketchy apartment building so I can pay this massage guy so that he stops sending me threatening messages. And so she and her doubles partner, we go back to this apartment building, and they're like, yeah, Vivian, this is really sketchy. So we walk in, and we walk up to where his floor was, and he like opens the door, and he's pissed. And and in fairness to him, he did have like a little corded massage thing off to the side. So they're like, oh, maybe this was legit. But I go and I pay it, and I'm like, I feel really bad about the whole thing. And so I'm like, I'm just going to pay the whole thing. Like, whatever, it's fine. And so I pay, and then we leave. We start to walk out, and I'm like, I'm sorry again about the misunderstanding, whatever. And I forget what he said. He's like, I don't think you are sorry, and kind of starts like getting aggressive. And Katie goes, you can't talk to her like that. And then set him off. And then he starts screaming at us, slammed the door in our face twice, and like chased us out of the apartment building. And so then I'm like, oh God, that was a lot. And he starts messaging me, I forget what he says, like something about how disrespectful I am. He found a bunch of my family members on Instagram and started messaging them about how Katie are criminals. And then I think Katie left a Yelp review because she was like, screw this guy. And then after the Yelp review, he sent me another really threatening message. So I was like, Katie, just take it down. I'm just gonna block. They're like, we just need to cut all communication. But yeah, it was a lot. It was very stressful. So,
wow. Welcome to Manchester.
I know.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. not the best race prep to have that the day before a world championship, but yeah. All right. Well, thank you for this. It's been a pleasure. If people want to follow you, find out more about you, where should they go?
I guess just my Instagram. It's just my name, Vivian Tafuto. Don't post on there much, but that's, I guess, the only place. So
okay. All right. Well, perfect. Good luck in Nice, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Greg.